Jungkook never imagined his life would change so drastically. The job posting had been peculiar, to say the least. Caretaker for a mentally disabled CEO was not the kind of role Jungkook had pictured himself applying for, but the salary was far too enticing to pass up. With mounting debts and his family depending on him, he didn't have the luxury of choice. The interview process had been unorthodox. Min Yoongi, the HR manager, spent most of the time explaining the complexities of the position. Kim Taehyung is not your typical CEO. He's brilliant but different. He needs someone patient and understanding, Yoongi said, leaning back in his chair. Jungkook nodded, trying to mask his nerves. I've taken care of people before. My grandmother had dementia. Yoongi smiled faintly. Good. But you'll find Mr. Kim to be unique. If you can handle this, the job is yours. The Kim estate was a sprawling mansion, an architectural masterpiece that screamed wealth and power. Jungkook was ushered inside by Mrs. Choi, the housekeeper, who gave him a brief tour before leading him to Tae's quarters. Mr. Kim spends most of his time here. He prefers solitude. Be gentle with him, she explained. Jungkook nodded, his heart pounding as she knocked on the heavy oak door. A moment later, it creaked open, revealing Kim Taehyung. Jungkook's breath caught. Tae was stunning, tall, with dark hair that fell effortlessly over his forehead, and piercing eyes that seemed to see right through him. He didn't look disabled. In fact, he looked more put together than anyone Jungkook had ever met. Tae's gaze lingered on Jungkook for a moment before he stepped aside, allowing them entry. He didn't say a word. Mrs. Choi shot Jungkook a reassuring glance. Jungkook will be your caretaker from now on, Mr. Kim. Tae merely nodded, his expression unreadable. His silence was unnerving, but Jungkook reminded himself of the man's condition. He was here to help, and he would do his job to the best of his ability. The first few days were uneventful. Tae was quiet, often staring out the window or engrossed in paperwork. He rarely spoke, only giving Jungkook brief, curt instructions when necessary. But there were moments, fleeting, almost imperceptible, when Jungkook felt a shift in the air. A lingering glance, a slight smirk, a touch that lasted a second too long. It was as if Tae was testing him, waiting for something. The first few weeks of Jungkook's new job passed in a haze of confusion and tension. Tae was unlike anyone Jungkook had ever met, enigmatic, sharp, and unpredictable. While he maintained the facade of someone with a mental disability, there were moments when Tae's piercing gaze felt far too annoying, and his slightest smirks left Jungkook questioning everything. One morning, Jungkook walked into Tae's room carrying a tray with breakfast. Tae was sprawled on the bed, his shirt unbuttoned, revealing smooth skin and defined muscles. His hair was tousled, giving him an almost boyish charm, but his eyes, those eyes, watched Jungkook like a predator eyeing prey. Good morning, Mr. Kim. I made your favorite, pancakes with syrup. Jungkook greeted, setting the tray down on the bedside table. Tae didn't respond immediately. Instead, he stretched lazily, his movements deliberate and the thin blanket sliding down to reveal more of his toned chest. Jungkook's face burned as he quickly looked away. Are you shy, Jungkook. Tae finally spoke, his voice deep and laced with amusement. No. I'm just here to help you eat. Jungkook stammered, fidgeting with the edge of his shirt. Tae chuckled softly, his lips curving into a mischievous smile. Then feed me. Jungkook's eyes widened. What? You're my caretaker, aren't you? Feed me. Tae's tone was playful, but his gaze was intense. Swallowing hard, Jungkook hesitated before picking up a piece of pancake, dipped it in syrup, and brought it to Tae's lips. Tae held his gaze as he leaned forward, his lips brushing against Jungkook's fingers as he took the bite. Delicious. But I think it tastes better when you're close. Licking his lips, Tae said, his voice deep. Jungkook's heart raced, his cheeks flushing a deep shade of red. I should go prepare your medication. Jungkook mumbled, quickly standing up. Before he could take a step, Tae grabbed his wrist, pulling him back down. Not so fast, Jungkook. You're here to take care of me, right? Stay. Jungkook nodded, his throat dry. He stayed by Tae's side, trying his best to maintain composure as Tae continued to tease him with subtle touches and lingering stares. Another day, Jungkook was in the living room cleaning when Tae wandered in, wearing nothing but a loose robe that barely covered him. Jungkook tried to focus on his task, but Tae's presence was impossible to ignore. Jungkook, I'm bored, Tae said, his voice smooth like butter. Jungkook glanced up, his eyes darting away when he saw Tae leaning against the doorway, the robe slipping off one shoulder. Would you like to watch TV? Or maybe take a walk in the garden? Jungkook asked, his voice slightly trembling. Tae shook his head, a playful glint in his eyes. No. I want you to entertain me. Jungkook's eyes widened. I entertain you. Pointing himself, Jungkook repeated, confused. Tae walked over, his movements graceful yet predatory. He stopped right in front of Jungkook, tilting his head as if studying him. Yes. Tell me something about yourself, Jungkook. What do you like? What do you desire? Tae said, his voice deep. Jungkook's breath hitched, his face growing hotter by the second. I don't think that's appropriate. Tae smirked, leaning in closer. Why not? I'm your responsibility. Shouldn't you know everything about me? Tae's fingers trailed lightly down Jungkook's arm, sending shivers through him. Mr. Kim. Jungkook whispered, his voice barely audible. Tae. Call me Tae. Tae corrected, his eyes darkening. Jungkook swallowed hard, his voice trembling as he obeyed. Tae. The way his name rolled off Jungkook's tongue seemed to please him, and Tae's smirk grew. Good. Now, tell me, Jungkook. Are you always this shy, or is it just around me? Jungkook was at a loss for words. He couldn't understand why Tae's teasing affected him so much. His heart pounded in his chest, and his body felt like it was on fire. I'm just doing my job, Jungkook managed to say, his voice shaky. Tae chuckled, stepping even closer until their faces were mere inches apart. You're doing a wonderful job, but I wonder, how far are you willing to go for me? Tae whispered, his breath warm against Jungkook's skin. Jungkook's eyes widened, his pulse racing. Before he could finish, Tae pulled back with a satisfied smirk. Relax, Jungkook. I'm just kidding. Jungkook let out a shaky breath, feeling both relieved and disappointed. Tae's teasing was relentless, and it was becoming harder for him to resist the man's magnetic pull. The teasing continued in subtle but deliberate ways. Tae would often accidentally brush his hand against Jungkook's, linger too close when they were alone, or whisper things that left Jungkook flustered and questioning his own sanity. One evening, as Jungkook was helping Tae with his physical therapy exercises, Tae suddenly pulled him down onto the couch, trapping him beneath his weight. "Tae, what are you doing?" Jungkook exclaimed, his eyes wide with panic. Tae smirked, his hands pinning Jungkook's wrists above his head. "You're always so nervous around me." "Why?" "I'm not." Jungkook started, but his voice faltered under Tae's intense gaze. "You're lying. You feel it too, don't you? This connection between us," Tae said softly, leaning in until their noses nearly touched. Jungkook's heart pounded in his chest, his mind racing. He didn't know how to respond, but the truth was undeniable. He was drawn to Tae in a way he couldn't explain. I don't know what you mean," Jungkook whispered, his voice trembling. Tae's smirk widened, his eyes glinting with amusement. "You will. Soon," Tae murmured, his lips brushing lightly against Jungkook's ear. With that, Tae released him, standing up and leaving the room without another word, leaving Jungkook breathless and yearning for more. These moments continued to blur the lines between their professional relationship and something far more intimate. Jungkook tried to maintain his boundaries, but Tae's teasing and magnetic presence made it nearly impossible. Each day brought new challenges, and Jungkook found himself falling deeper into Tae's web, unable to escape the pull of his enigmatic employer. Little did Jungkook know, Tae's game was far from over, and the truth behind his actions was about to unravel in ways Jungkook could never have anticipated. Late one night, Jungkook found himself in Tae's room, helping him prepare for bed. Tae sat on the edge of the bed, his shirt unbuttoned, exposing his toned chest. Jungkook tried to focus, but the tension in the room was palpable. "You're different from the others," Tae said suddenly, his deep voice cutting through the silence. Jungkook blinked, caught off guard. "Others? The ones before you? They were scared. But you're not," Tae said, his eyes locking onto Jungkook's. Jungkook swallowed hard. "I'm here to help you." Tae stood, his movement slow and deliberate. He took a step closer, towering over Jungkook. "And if I need more than just help?" Jungkook's heart raced. "What do you mean?" Tae smirked, his eyes darkening, as he says to Jungkook in a deep husky voice. "To be continued. Last part is coming soon." Thanks for watching, puffballs. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment and share. Also subscribe the channel and press the bell icon to never miss any updates.